becoming the best in all of Night City.
Night City, a neon-lit metropolis in a dystopian world ran by immoralities and human nature. A universe in which anyone and everyone is constantly hanging onto the border of technology-induced psychosis. A world that contains endless intertwined narratives hidden in every single corner you can imagine, making and breaking legends, paving way for new ones to burst onto the scene every day. In my opinion, Cyberpunk 2077 is one of the best things to ever grace the video game industry. Apart from its rocky start, CD Projekt Red struck gold with this game. The storyline, the characters, and most importantly the video game world as a whole is something that will leave its mark on the gaming industry for years to come. In this video, we're going to deep dive a little deeper into these aspects and uncover what really made them special. So sit back and relax as we take a trip into Night City, just one more time. I think what this game does best is highlighting how unforgiving this video game universe is. Playing as the character V, you really get a feel of how isolated you are. In this city, winning another person's trust is rare. So when we come across Jackie, we feel as if we have just bumped into a long-lost family member. As partners in crime, you rapidly up the ante in the missions you both undertake. You feel untouchable. That is until you bite off a bit more than you can chew and everything is ripped away from V within a blink of an eye. No plot armor, no protagonist shield, Jackie is killed. And once again, V is thrown back into the world of Night City alone. Just this time, with a lot more on their plate. The death of Jackie sets up the game perfectly. The player is shown that, in Night City, there are no happy endings. The cyberpunk world has no mercy. It's cruel, and in order to survive, V must embrace this inhumanity. Further on in the story, V meets an array of different characters, each with their own quests and side missions. The main story has more or less the same outcome, but the relationships of which you finish the story in decide how the end of this game will affect the people you've come across. Of course, in true real-world fashion, you will learn that you cannot please everyone. With a game that has a set ending, it's so rare to see this non-linear approach to the storyline. Even though the outcome will be the same, the way we get there can differ tremendously between playthroughs. One of the most influential characters you'll meet along V's journey is Judy. Working as a brain dance technician in a nightclub called Lizzie's, she constantly battles her hatred with the city, protecting the vulnerable ladies of the night. Her dad was not in the scene when she was a child, and her mum passed away when she was young, leaving her to fend for herself. She found friendship in a colleague, Evelyn, but was repeatedly shadowed by her ex-girlfriend who rose through the ranks in the nightclub business faster than she could. When first meeting Judy, the relationship will be skeptical to say the least. Both V and Judy understand the brutality of Night City and put up walls to protect themselves from betrayal and mistrust. But this similarity in nature only brings you both closer as friends. Or as more than friends if you choose to play as female V. On a side note, this only added to the replayability of Cyberpunk. Having characters with side quests that can only be unlocked by playing a specific gender made it almost compulsory to replay the game as the opposite gender if you really wanted to get the full experience. Playing as male V, Panam is probably going to be the main romanceable character you'll bump into along the story. Like Judy, she hates Night City. The difference is that she takes a more head-on approach to this disliking. Her rebellious attitude has led her to live out in the Badlands of Night City, working as a mercenary. Her lack of cyberware means that she must be tactical in combat and has developed an insane shooting arm with her sniper. She is one of the most human characters that V will meet. She actually cares about V's illness and actively tries to help them. She's not afraid to show her human qualities like banter, sincerity and, as V will learn, affection. In a city full of what are essentially walking robots, it's rare to find someone that still hangs on to their human qualities even if it does show weakness in a city full of immoral people. Meeting someone like this, V can reclaim some of their sanity and feel part of a family that the nomads have conjured up. It's refreshing for the player too. Ever since we got out of that car that Jackie passed away in, we haven't felt what it's like to be part of a family when we really needed it. Night City itself is perfectly made. In a world of short attention spans, CD Projekt Red made the game so visually stunning that it would be impossible for anyone to get bored of it. Something about a cyberpunk world is so dystopian and uncanny. Seeing that humanity is drastically approaching a world like this in real life, it makes Night City hit closer to home, almost as if, as players, we are home. In another dimension, this is what humanity has become. The similarities of Night City to the real world can only make us stop and stare at the beauty of it. In a world of colour and bright lights comes a darker and much more cruel underworld. The city has been taken over by corporate greed and is run by gangs and criminals that have set out to capitalise on this corruption. It's a vicious cycle that has now spiralled out of control. This was a city that was meant to set humanity up for the end of 21st century, but now it's a broken world that cannot be fixed. The impact of advanced technology is so prominent in this game, but this is nothing new since a city in Night City looks identical to Times Square in New York. Anyway, I digress. The choice to make this game solely first person only adds to the immersion. It wasn't like GTA 5 when they released a first person camera angle that was buggy and annoying. It was the perfect way of connecting the player to the main character V. We weren't just spectating V's life, we were V. Even though CDPR didn't technically call this game an RPG, it certainly felt like one. We as the player were the protagonist and could do whatever we want and create whatever build we thought suited us as players the most. We could choose what relationships we have, and most importantly, we can choose whether to trust someone or not. Unless it was Johnny and we had no choice because he was literally inside of our head. The gunplay was raw and the guns actually felt powerful. You couldn't just beam an enemy from long range like it's Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. The recoil meant that you had to take your time with your shots and be more accurate, until you got up close and could just let the gun rip like a Beyblade in 2008. However, if you preferred the up close and personal fights to be dealt with using melee weapons, then you were sport for choice. Knives, samurai swords, literal body modifications would allow you to deal with an up close enemy with ease. However, if you wanted to avoid combat altogether, it was a viable option too. You could create an OP netrunner build that could deal with the fight without even having to get your hands dirty. You could be whoever you wanted, and you wouldn't run into any roadblocks in the gameplay, as the skill tree would allow you to make any build powerful enough with the sufficient amount of skill points. Alongside a skill tree was an array of body modifications you could make, further developing your build. Different abilities to help you overcome people that stand in your way, whether it's movement, cyber attacks, or just plain absurd Sandever stands that made you feel like God. You could pick and choose which one suited you the most. The most important thing in this game that we keep touching on is the ability to be whoever you want. It's one thing to create a city so unique, but it's another thing to allow the player to feel a part of it. My favourite part about video games is the way the immersion can pluck me out of the real world and throw me into a new one entirely. Whatever I've got going on in my life can be placed on hold for a few hours whilst I give my mind a break from reality. Cyberpunk is the game that has been the most successful in doing this for me, and I'm sure a lot of you have played it could say the same. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. I'm always looking for an excuse to jump back into Night City, and I'm glad that this time I can bring you lot with me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.